Excellent. So for both myself and the audience at home, and this is where we'll kind of begin. If you don't mind introducing yourself, and then maybe just a little bit of background so that everyone can get to know you a little bit.
Yeah, they call me Cherokee is my road name.
Mhm.
Um, I belonged to a Christian club before this one,
Hmm.
for about 4 years. Um, before I came over to here, we met Troy, who is the one that actually moved out here, was VP when they moved. They moved from Kingman to here.
Hmm.
He had to leave us because he had to move back to Vegas for work. But he's actually the one I met, and that's how I was introduced to Cross.
Got it. All right. Very, very good. And then, so as far as even just being in the faith, have you always been a believer, or did that come later? What was your journey like?
I've always been a believer. My mom tried to raise us Catholic. Um, Thankfully that didn't work out. But so what do they say? I'm a recovering Catholic. Um, so I've kind of I've pushed God away different times in my life. I did some prison time, and that's when I really was able to sober up and look at my life and really get a living relationship with God. Always believed, even in my worst times, he was always there for me, and I knew it, even if I was trying to push him away. Um, but so kind of back and forth, kind of denying him at different times in my life. Prison was my time to really get clarity and really um, have the time. It sounds crazy. It's the worst thing and the best thing that's ever happened to me, because I was given that time, to look at my life and really step out and realize the direction I was going, and realizing I didn't want to go that direction. And I wouldn't have done it without that time. So I'm thankful for it. Like I said, it's the worst time and the best time of my life. Um, but that's really when I started to walk with God and really put him first.
Got it. All right, and we'll kind of dive into that as we throughout our discussion. But and then
Yeah.
also want to the second question I want to ask is how long have you ridden a motorcycle? Was that lifelong or is it more recent?
So I grew up on the back of my stepdad's bike, and was surrounded by bikes, and it's a culture there. Um, you know, Beat around on dirt bikes, probably since I was like 12, um, and then graduated to street bikes. So I would say all my life, there were times where I couldn't afford a bike, so I didn't have one, but yeah, pretty much all my life.
Okay, all right, very good. And then so when did you first come across Cross Ministries?
Um, it would have been just before, it would have been like fall, I think, is when we met Troy, who was VP at the time.
Got
Um,
it.
yeah, so not even a year yet, and we've been
Ah,
through life,
okay.
and we've been through lifetimes already, trying to build
I
this
can
charter out
imagine.
here. Yeah,
All right,
but
very
I
good.
know I know that we're anointed. I know that God wants this charter, and we're not going to stop trying to build it until somebody stops us.
Mm. And so was it when did you know that this was for you, whether upon joining Cross or even before? I know you said you were in a Christian motorcycle group before. When did you
Yeah,
know that
so
you wanted to be involved in motorcycle
definitely in
ministries?
definitely in my first club. Um, but they were doing everything wrong, which I started to learn after a while. But it was a good club for me to start out in and get a taste of it and learn it. Um, before I ended up here, God doesn't make mistakes. But I definitely, got the taste for it, wanted it, and now I have to have it.
Right. So maybe within the scope of what you feel would be relevant or proper to share for because there's a lot of ministries that that rise and fall in this day and age, and sometimes not out of lack of sincerity or lack of dedication to the message or to Christ, but sometimes some ministries will kind of uh, make the right decisions in terms of maintaining the ministry. Sometimes make mistakes. Are there any mistakes that you've seen that you could share that maybe people could learn from?
With us, we have to be fully sanctioned and we have to have relationships with the right people to, to go where we want to go to serve our mission, which is to minister to the 1% and pluck them from the fire. So the first thing I would say, I realized that the club I was with before wasn't fully sanctioned. And I mean, you got to start there. Yeah, that's one of the big ones. And there's some clubs out there skirting that line and staying on off the radar. That was the biggest thing, and that now I look back and realize you're in danger when you do that. So that would be the first thing. And there was just a lot of lines crossed in officers' positions and stuff, and they weren't clear on. I mean, they weren't even really clear on the bylaws. We actually started going through the bylaws right before I left.
Oh
Um,
man.
so just not having any structure, and some clubs do that. They get complacent. If they get small, they lose some guys. Um, so yeah, it's just not following the rules.
Got it. And that's something really special that I had interviewed, VP Pastor Lupe before this, maybe about last month or so. And one of
Yeah.
the things that kept jumping out at me, what Crops does and how it orchestrates and how it organizes itself, is the structure. And it's not just the structure of having the right permissions, but it even comes down to the structure of how you all ride together and information and the speed and the proximity to each other that you go on the road. So what's I talked to a VP also in Washington recently. He said if they need to go a little slower, they'll go a little slower. So I know every area is going to do things maybe a little differently. What's it like riding the motorcycles together in Arizona?
Well, we ride, we ride hard, and we just been officially made nomads out here, and anybody that knows the MC culture understands that's a whole nother level. So we have to ride, and we do. Um, but we know how to be safe. And you're talking about the rules and you're talking about riding tight. I mean, all the rules, in our bylaws are for safety mostly. So, there's and the people we ride with, we got to ride with them. So if we're going to have their respect and be able to minister to them, we kind of have to, at least when we're with them, we got to ride. Um, if we have some people with us, guests or stuff, or somebody outside of the club or new to the club, we'll take it easy. So we're not. I don't want to make it sound like we're being crazy. We're riding within our skills. What's the saying? Don't ride faster than your angels can fly, right?
That's right. Mhm. And then just because I'm coming to you from California today. So maybe my first question would be this: have you ever driven through California on a bike?
Yeah, I've come back there to the Bay Area uh,
Got it.
twice now.
Okay, so the reason I ask is, how would you compare the driving culture, the people that you're riding around, California, Arizona? Is it pretty much the same, or any differences there?
Well, I got to say too, there's two guys that really elevated my riding skills, and one of them was our VP that had to leave, and I learned a lot from him just on the two rides out there. So
Mm,
Arizona's a little squirrely because you can't split lanes here, but you got a lot of people from California, so they're doing it. And I guess to answer your question, as far as I'm not sure if I'm answering correctly,
no,
but
yeah, that is good.
so when you split traffic out in California, it's a lot safer because it's the law and people actually move over for you. And so
Mm.
I noticed that a lot. That it's just kind of surprising. You're not used to people actually moving over for you. That's the biggest difference. But then
Oh,
you get the
okay.
ones too that get mad, try to cut you off. And that's everywhere.
Yeah, 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 for sure.
But yeah,
All
it's
right.
beautiful ride out there. I always look forward to that ride. It's beautiful.
Yeah, in fact, weather-wise, I imagine it's already pretty hot out there, right? And we're deep in
Oh
summer.
yeah, as you can
You're
see,
already in the
my
hundreds.
you can see my face is all red. I was out there today.
Ooh, yeah.
So yeah, no, we're up into like 114, 113.
Yeah, we it's been a cooler summer for us over here, only about maybe in the 90s. So we're,
Yeah, I
not
really
so
can't
bad.
really can't complain because it just started getting hot recently.
Mhm.
It was delayed this year, and we haven't had the humidity, and that's when it really gets bad. I really can't complain so far. I mean, it's like we're halfway through the summer already.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, the
nice.
weather out there, it's a lot different, especially the bay. Like you just don't know. I mean, you just got to have gear with you. You
Mhm.
could be running through rain and go over the hill, and then it's sunny and hot. But
Absolutely. Hmm. All right. So in maybe I know it's been less than a year, what you've said, and even with the other VPs, we don't, careful not to use specifics about your experiences on the road. At the same time, within the scope of what you can share, what kind of uh, maybe if you've had the opportunity of any like spiritual encounters out there in the motorcycle ministry, or just anything at all you could share, so everyone understands, your experiences thus far as the club in Arizona.
well, if you wanted to talk about differences, we had our VP that moved us here from Kingman was really shocked at how political it is here
Mm.
and how strict they are with the MC rules here. And that's because of we found out it's because of things that have happened um, to certain clubs over here more than any other state that they're in. So
Oh
they're
wow.
kind of hyper vigilant around here. So it was tough, but we accomplished a lot. I mean, I would say most of the clubs know us now and love us. We did a lot of work in a short amount of time, and that was just getting out there for every event, and it was hard, and it adds up, when you're paying these entry fees and the time away from the family and stuff. But we really accomplished a lot in a short amount of time, and I'll never forget it. It's you know, and being not having that many guys, so it's like everybody had to show up. So that's why I say it's like we've been through lifetimes already. But everything has shown me. I mean, God just keeps showing me that this is the path, and He has anointed the path for this charter. I'm sorry, I
God.
probably went off subject there.
No, 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 no. That's great. No, that kind of brought something to mind. Can you share at all what things had happened in the state, even if kind of vaguely, that maybe brought a little bit more of a microscope for motorcycle ministries?
Um, so just moving, you know, um, the people that we report to are kind of funny about that. And our VP at the time kind of moved over here first and then let him know. So our first meeting with him was a little squirrely. He was mad, but then he was happy that he was over here. So it started off rocky already. Um, but that's kind of how they treat you too. They always got you scrambling and wondering. Um, but I mean, I know that God's anointed this path because it just over and over with every obstacle put in front of us, we got through it and got through it well. And it actually these hard encounters that we had actually, I think, is why we got our name out there really fast. And we've just shown nothing but respect. And yeah, everybody loves us out here already. You'd think we've had relationships with these guys for years already.
Yeah, that's what happens when
It's
things are
amazing.
God ordained, right?
Absolutely. And I think we all were shook, for different. We a few of us came over from the same club that I came from, and there was a lot of feelings, and it was it was devastating. It was life changing because we lost friendships and brothers, brotherhood that we shouldn't have lost. So we all were kind of shook. And then when we jumped into over here with a club that's fully sanctioned and follow all the rules, it was kind of a shock too. So, but it's exactly what we wanted. Um, but yeah, so I think we all, had contemplated whether or not this was the right path for us. And and the ones, that are still around, they were spoken to. Um, the others that had to leave, we'll always love them and appreciate the work that they put in.
Got it. Now, you had mentioned before that the path that your life has taken, and your journey back to the faith. Do you feel that, what I want to ask is, do you feel that because of your experiences, does that help the put a fire in you to kind of go to these unconventional places to reach people that maybe others wouldn't, or that maybe other people would consider a little too far outside of God's grace? Do you have a particular passion towards people like that?
Yes, absolutely. What it does is I speak their language. I know where they are. I know where they're going. I know where they've been. And so it already opens those doors. And I don't know, it's almost like a military thing. When you've been in prison, you come across somebody that's been in prison, you just kind of know. And I don't know, there's kind of a bond there already. And yeah, I'm very interested in doing uh, prison work, going to the prisons. In fact, we have a big event coming up in September where we're going to the prison. So, um, our main mission is to minister to the 1%. Um, and I feel like like I said, we've really established good relationships here. So we're kind of at this point, we're looking forward to number one, grow and bring some guys that are a good fit. But now we're kind of wanting to, I want to do some of the prison runs, and I want to do some homeless stuff. So, and then we just have to maintain our relationships, um, with the clubs. But I'm wanting to kind of look forward now and get kind of our own events going on and things like that because we took at this point we took the time and I feel like we're established and it's time to kind of look forward now.
Got it. Well, that's excellent. So, how did it come about? The opportunity opened up for the to do the prison ministries.
I I know of a group of guys that go up over here to San Carlos. They were from the other club that I was in. But this one that we're going to in September, I guess, is a big thing. I haven't been to it yet. Um, but our VP that left us actually got us the information and we got signed up for it. I think he had been to it before.
Uh, if you had some advice for people that might want to, either specifically in Arizona or just in general, for motorcycle ministries, people that are not out in it yet but might consider pursuing it, any particular advice you'd give?
Yeah, number one, find your club. Make sure that your club is all about what you want to represent, what you want to be a part of. And that might take a while, hang around with some clubs. And then again, I'll go right into make sure it's a fully sanctioned club. Um, uh, uh, Preferably a well-respected club. But there's a lot of clubs out there, and everybody has a home somewhere. So I'd say don't get discouraged if you feel like you can't find that right club. God will put you in the right place. And then, if you do get in, it's real simple. It's respect. Everything comes down to respect. Even if you mess up in the beginning, which you will, as long as your heart posture is respect, they'll feel that and they'll teach you. So don't dive in thinking you know everything. And every club's going to be a little bit different. So the beautiful thing about that is you can find the one that fits you the best.
Right. And that kind of raises a question for me. So it kind of in what you've encountered, what you've experienced, have you come across any of their, like, let's say, traditional churches or church homes that maybe some of the club members belong to, whether they're more receptive or less receptive for motorcycle ministries, or whether they kind of understand what you're doing or not? Have you experienced either way?
Yeah, so that's a good question. And I just started going to a different church a couple years ago. And so I've had the experience of, I wear my cut to church. So, I mean, so if I can't wear my cut to church and they don't like bikers, that's not my church.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, all of them, and with my other club, we used to do what we call church invasions. And that was everybody shows up at a church. And, there's times where they kind of like, you can see the look at them when you come rolling in 15 deep, with cuts on. But they've all been receptive and welcoming and intrigued by what we do. Yeah, it's amazing. That's another thing that we've just started doing again. And
Okay,
I think
that's the first time I hear that. That's interesting.
yeah. So we kind of start with our churches, but we have some outreach churches that we go to and support that that go out on missions and take rescue people off the streets and stuff like that. So yeah, and yeah, I would say, just once in a while till they don't know who you are. But you can see people look at you and then they start reading your patches, and then all of a sudden they want to come talk to you. So yeah, I love it.
Excellent, excellent, very interesting. And then some of those outreach ministries, maybe they either have events where they feed the homeless, or what kind of maybe along with that, what other types of outreach do some of these services do?
Yeah, a lot of them are about feeding the homeless. Um, that's something that the club that I left, that's their main mission, is the homeless. Um, I'm of the opinion I want to really help people. I respect what everybody does in feeding the homeless and that, but we're really about getting in there and trying to pluck someone from the fire. Amen. So yeah, I like we do a lot of events where we feed the homeless, but when you feed the homeless, I mean, you're helping them for a meal, right? Maybe you're helping them for the day, or you clothe them. I want to go deeper than that. And that's a tricky thing too, because some people are perfectly happy being homeless. That's the lifestyle they choose. So, you got to kind of know how to interview them, which I've learned from different organizations over the last 4 years. Yeah.
That's a great point, because that even mirrors not only some ministries, but even kind of society as a whole, right? You kind of see these cycles of having programs or systems, or even just individuals who want to help and will kind of feed someone for a day, and that's good, but not really. It can become a problem if we kind of just get into the rhythm of doing these like band-aid actions, but that don't really speak to we. I think you're just like what you're saying. We also need individuals like yourself or ministries that can kind of address the larger issue and see if you could challenge someone to maybe rise above, to strive to push for more, to get out of bad situations. So
yeah, but you got to find
understand.
that person. You got to find that person that's ready.
Yeah, yeah. It's like as you're reaching your hand out to give them a hand up, they have to be reaching up and kind of pushing on their own body to get up off the ground.
Yeah. The feeding them is supposed to draw them in so you can minister to them and help them. But I go to a lot of these events and I don't see a lot of that, and I think they just get kind of mundane in feeding them. and they kind of forget about the ministering part. Not only that, when you do these events regularly, you got the homeless people that just grab the food and jet. Um, so yeah, I respect them, and I'm not bashing them. I'm really more about actually helping someone um, from needing that meal, you know. So there's some organizations we just started supporting that actually have facilities and stuff like that. So I like to have those resources to send people when we do come across them.
That's excellent. Do you, off the top of your head, do you know the names of some of those organizations?
Restoration Church is one we just started hanging out with them. These guys are amazing. We went to their church the first time, and there's plenty of chairs for, you know, 100 people, but nobody's in their chairs. They're in their aisles and dancing around. It was really inspiring. I mean, nobody sat down the whole service. They were all
Nice.
dancing and hugging each other. And so our VP that left us came across them, and he was living way outside of town. And he ran into them at a gas station. They're taking donations. And then we went to their church that night. And I think it was that next week I was at Home Depot and ran into one of them taking donations in the parking lot. They put in the footwork, I'll tell you what. And they're covering the valley one end to the other.
Got it. That's excellent. Yeah, there's a group out here, and I know that they're multi-state. If not, I don't know that they're national, but they're called Teen Challenge, and
Yep.
they have an outreach program that helps people kind of get housed and kind of provokes them to kind of push further towards sobriety and kind of teaches them skills for
Yep.
living. So definitely, I think it
Yeah.
probably there's some similarities there.
Yeah. We go to a couple of teen challenges every year. One of them has like a rehabilitation center up north here. Um, we always do that run. Yeah, it's amazing what they do. I just love hearing their stories when they have, the success stories up there talking.
And that's always the greatest miracle, right? That aside from the possibility that God can heal our bodies is the fact that He can change our hearts and minds, and to have someone
Absolutely.
turn their life around from going in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
That's always a powerful thing. Probably one of the miracles that's best able to speak to the world to see, hey, what changed this person?
Yeah.
So
I've heard
powerful.
somebody I've heard somebody describe it as switching on. And it's really, if you ever see somebody saved in front of you, that's really what happens. They're like switched on like a light bulb. And I've struggled with addiction myself. Um, and again, prison is what sobered me up long enough to understand I was destroying myself. Um, but yeah, it's amazing.
That's right. So, in addition to that, any other ministry types you've had the opportunity to kind of coordinate with out there in Arizona, or is that the primary focus or the primary groups that you've been able to join with?
Um, yeah, so there's another club that we're really tight with, and their mission is the homeless, but they're out there. They actually bought a plot of land um, downtown here. A lot of people have heard of it. It's called the Zone. Have you heard of the Zone here?
No, no, not before.
So so it's like South Central, I believe. It's like
Hmm.
South Central Phoenix, but it's called the Zone, and it's I don't know how many square city blocks of homeless people in their worst conditions. But they bought a little plot of land. They set up a little church where they have a church service. Later, they have one section where they feed, and then they have a whole like little shopping area for them to get new clothes. Um, and that same club does a lot of different events that we go to. Um, but they're one of the clubs that are really going above and beyond, to really help the people.
Mm. That's powerful. maybe taking a step back just because I'm now realizing I forgot to ask you a question earlier on. What kind of bike do you ride?
I ride a 2013 Fat Boy,
All right, all right.
and
Uh,
I get teased a lot. It's a 103. Everybody's got a faster bike than me, but I love my Fat Boy. I don't know. Everybody keeps trying to get me to get a bagger, and I'm not there yet. I can feel
maybe down
myself
the
getting
road. Huh?
closer, but I'm not
Okay, all
quite
right,
there yet. I like my Fat Boy.
all right.
Yeah. I
And
still
then
have a lot of things I want to do to it. So
some
it's just,
modifications.
yeah, like I put some pipes on it. I got some handlebars I got to put on it. I
Nice.
gotta, I gotta get better air intake. So I'll still be happy with it for some years. Everybody, I know a lot of people think like I don't want to, that I can't afford a bigger bike, but it's really not that. I'll probably keep this bike when I get a bagger too.
Mm.
I
How
like a
long have
lot
you
of
had it for?
like a lot of guys. I've wanted a Fat Boy ever since the movie Terminator.
Oh, yeah,
I get a
yeah.
lot of people at gas station and stuff. They're like Terminator bike. I'm like, yeah, you just aged yourself.
The song "Bad to the Bone" starts playing in the back of their mind.
I've
All right. And how long have you had that bike for?
had this bike for about 4 years. It was sitting in a garage in Wisconsin. My
Mm.
stepdad found it. It was old retired couples, and it was the wife's bike. She passed away, so it sat in a garage, I think, for like 2 or 3 years. So it only had like 1,600 miles on it when I got it.
Wow.
So even though it's a 13, it's really not that old of a bike. Although I am stacking the miles on it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You ride?
No, you know what? I do not. However, my father did. So
Yeah.
my father, I mean, he's still around, but he hasn't been able to ride recently. But so he was, part of cross, and he had an Indian. But as I sit here, I can't remember the exact model. But so just kind of through him, kind of got to learn more, and of course, associating with cross. So
Oh, so you've done
that
cross for a while.
yeah, when I first came across them, it was through a mutual friend had invited them to the church that we were at, and it was kind of like that church invasion that you mentioned, except I didn't even know what to call it. But Cross came about 10 of them or so, and in their cuts, and that was like a real special experience. And of course, we were thinking, wow, that's cool. My father's always like motorcycle culture. He hadn't ridden at that point, but wanted to. Eventually got the motorcycle, joined, got his own cuts. So yeah, just being close enough in our proximity, kind of, learn a little bit as you go.
These guys are so amazing, and anybody that has met them knows. I've heard about them before Troy came here,
Interesting.
and everybody just has nothing but good things to say about them. Like everybody you talk to in different circles, they just say how amazing and how warm of a family it is. And so I heard about them way before I met them. When I met them the first time I rode out there, I seen exactly what they were talking about.
Very, very special ministry.
Amazing group of people. I'm honored to be honored to be a part of them.
Mm-hmm. And then I know it hasn't been too long. Definitely not too long. It's just under a year. It's like the blink of an eye. But so far, what the how many members do you have in the group right now out there in Arizona?
So it's me and my sergeant at arms, Opie,
Mm-hmm.
and we have a couple of hangarounds.
Okay, yeah.
So
You know that
we're
that
building
yeah, it's
we're
interesting.
building from
It's
the ground
interesting.
up.
Yeah, it's interesting to have those satellites at all though, because it's not every day that like kind of what I was saying earlier. In this day and age, not every ministry is growing. Not every ministry is pushing forward or expanding. So it's very special to have groups like yours kind of growing out from the perspective of cross that here out here in the Bay. So just like I interviewed a gentleman that was a VP in Washington State, and similarly, there it's only been about a year, and they're growing, but it's very special to have that stake in the ground that can only grow from there. Very special thing.
Yeah. We're right now it's kind of difficult too here because nobody wants to ride in it under 15 degrees, you know. So we're kind of having trouble getting people to come out. But
Imagine.
you know, like I keep telling my sergeant is we need to set the table and God will provide for us in his time. Because I know he's anointed this charter. So we just need to make sure we're doing the legwork and setting the table for him.
Maybe to kind of start wrapping up, anything that you want to add or think of, or maybe just closing thoughts that to share with everyone.
Well, he's talking about how amazing this club is. And I have all the support, I have different charters contacting me and telling me, what we're doing is amazing and always, cheering me on. We should feel alone out here but I don't feel alone at all. And I just want to give them a shout out, and it just adds to their character and their heart posture. It's just amazing, amazing organization.
And that's what brotherhood is all about, right? Being there for one another, helping
Amen.
each other, and having that communion.
Yeah, we lost a lot of guys too in a short amount of time out here. So, that kind of shakes you. But I don't know, for me, it just solidifies my feet grounded, and I ride for them, So that's what they would want us to do.
That's right. So I'm saying here and now by faith, let's say sometime next year we get to speak again. And not only has the ministry grown, but that you've been able to connect with a lot of other ministries and join up a lot of events and runs. So we claim that for you in our Lord's name. And by faith, we'll be speaking again soon with more of that.
Yes, and we'll be 10 deep.
Oh,
Promise.
yep, that's right.
That's my goal. I'm not going to sleep till
That's
then.
right. That's right. I'll join you in faith on that.
Hey, thank you for your support. You're awesome.
My pleasure. It's good to meet you. Definitely, we won't be strangers. We'll be in touch, and God willing, we'll see each other face to face before too long.
Praise God.
All right. Bless you, my brother.
Thank you.